What's good, YouTubeites? Welcome to Lords of the Long Box, having new comic book day 2. This is like episode 167, but really, who's keeping track at this point? I got the Tres Delinquentes in the house. Let's get right to it, boys and girls.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
Hold on and get some, boys.
That is why they come big.
What's up, party people? This is your man, TiVo. Welcome to Lords of the Long Box. Before I even get started, shout out to Chad Crow for the $5 super chat. We haven't even gotten started yet. Thanks for Chad for supporting the channel. As always, we got a couple of men down, but we're still going to rock this. I got my man, Milton the Man. I'm going to say what's up, Zach.
What's going on, everybody? Well, glad to be here. Got a lot of news coming up. A lot of sad news with that ECC, but some good things to talk about.
Yo, stay inside and watch the Lords, and you'll be virus-free. Got my man, speaking of viruses, Nemesis Prime. Say what's up, Justin.
What's going on, everybody? Where is everybody at for Emerald City Comicon? Probably home in the basement.
Yo, well, you know, we'll talk about that a little bit, man, because it is kind of unprecedented to be. It is unprecedented. I don't ever recall something like this happen, but shout out to everybody in the live chat who's been tailgating for a minute, man. As always, Contender, Jason Ovian, CT Cook, Chad Crow, Al Pickno. Shout out again to Chad Crow for the super chat. Sith Lord holding it down with the wrench. My man JLS Comics holding it down with the wrench. Chad Hensley, AG Surfer. You're really gonna love this. I know my man AG Surfer is a big Surfer fan, as you can tell by his name. And so on, Discovery Bay Comics. Shout out to Discovery Bay Comics, always supporting the channel and the YouTube community. Shout out to everybody, man. There's like 50 people in there. By the time I start counting, it gets to like 100 people. So let's get right to it. I want to bring up some sponsors and some pretty important news that I think for the growth of our channel and the community and all that good stuff. But first off, let's pay some bills, man. This show is sponsored by Karis Comics. Excuse me. Yeah, well, you know what? We'll go to Rocket Comics first, man. Our show is sponsored by Rocket Comics. Go to Rocket Comics and any one of their things. The best way to get a hold of them is probably Instagram, but you can email them to tell them the Lord sent you. Get 20% off your first order for pressing, 10% after that. And I don't know if they're going to, you know what? I was reaching out to Scott earlier. I hadn't heard from him. I asked him if he was going to ECCC, man, because I know he just finished North Texas Comic-Con. He went to C2E2, so he's a busy man right now. So I don't know if he's going to go, to be honest with you, because there's no signature opportunities. Jim Lee's not going. Dustin
I did
Wynn's
talk to him. I did talk to him.
Is he going?
He is. If they still have it, they will be the official CGC facilitator there.
Man, that kind of sucks for all the people who were, you know, trying to give Jim Lee SIGs or any SIGs of the people who aren't going, and even for Rocket to try to like return money and handle all the books. Like that's
Scotty Young isn't going to be there either.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, even it's the same thing with C2E2. I mean, a lot of these overseas artists that people were hoping and praying, you know, to get signatures.
Yeah.
You know,
So I mean, that's cool for Scott. I mean, since he'll be the only there's only 3 CGC facilitators in California. So I don't know how many are in this in the state of Washington, but the show is also sponsored by our friends at KRScomics.com. Go to KRScomics.com. Use the discount code LOTLB to get 15% off any KRS Comics exclusives. They are nearly sold out of all their convention exclusives from C2E2, so make sure you hit them up. They got some great stuff, as I was showing right here. Yo, that Jean Grey one is fire. I don't like saying the word fire, but it's fire, man. There you go. I just showed you right here, man. You put in the discount code, boom, you got 15% off. See how that works? Boom. I love it. The show is also sponsored by our friends at the geekyswagshop.com, and I'm going to give a special shout out to the Geeky Swag Shop and our friends over at the NY Warriors, man. I want you to use the Lord's discount of LOTLB and get yourself an NY Warriors shirt. So support the homies. They just got to, trust us. We know what it means to go and try to get orders fulfilled for a shirt. You need to get like 20 of them or something like that before they ship. So go support our friends at the NY Warriors. Go to the Geeky Swag Shop. Look for the NY Warriors. Get yourself a shirt and use the discount code of LOTLB. You got 15% off, and they can start shipping on those bad boys. We know how long that takes. Chad Crow can speak to it on the sweatshirts, how long it took him to get one.
Yeah, pre-orders end a couple days for their NY Warriors t-shirts.
There you go. And also, I'm gonna before we get into the long-term spec list that we got for the Silver Surfer from our man, the Black Knight. I've been working on the background on this for a while. I alluded to it last week. That I'm working with a partnership or sponsor, you may say, because I posted a question on the Lord's page, on the community page, and asked, hey, what would you guys think of us doing, like showing new comics on a weekly basis? And I've been dealing with these guys for a while, and I've been talking to them, trying to figure out what's the best way of doing it. And we're going to be partnering with CovrPrice.com. CovrPrice.com and Lords of Longbox are going to be partnering up together to give you content on a weekly basis. We're going to do top 10 lists, top 10 hot books of the week, top 10 in sales. And the reason all these people that we not mentioned as our sponsors, I know them personally, or Justin and Otto have met them personally in the Geeky Swag Shop, but I've talked to them. These are all great people in the community, and I like to support them, and they support us. So I've talked to the guys at CovrPrice. I've used their product before. It's a great option. CovrPrice.com without an E in the cover. So it's CovrPrice.com. It's price guide. You can put your collections in it. It shows pricing. It shows trends. There's articles. We're going to do a weekly top 10. As you can see right here, there's a weekly top 10. It has Ultimate Fallout as number 10, Spider-Woman. I'm pretty sure Justin really likes that Rise of Kylo Ren on there, and two of them, 6 and 7. So we're going to start working with them right now. If you go to coverprice.com, you can get a 2-week trial for free. So when you sign up, then after that, there's going to be a new pricing that's coming out in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to talk about that once we get to it. But this allows us to get content. We typically talk about older comics, but this way we've done it in the past. We're not, just hopping on the wagon now. We kind of did this years ago where we would talk about sales trends. And a lot of times I was using our friends at comicsmv.com, which was a great website for GPA averages of sales. Unfortunately, our friends at Comics MV decided to shut it down. They're doing something else that I really hope I can announce soon. It's still in the comic book world, but not the same as. So Comics MV is no longer available. We have to go to GPA, but coverprice.com, CovrPrice.com is a great alternative. I used it before. It's kind of like CLZ and GPA all rolled into one. It shows you sales data. You can also put your stuff in there. So check out our friends at coverprice.com. Shout out to Matt Forge for the $3 super chat. Congrats on the correct collab. Yeah, if you haven't checked out CovrPrice, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. And I'm going to be I talked to them for a good 30 minutes on the phone today. We kind of talked back and forth on Instagram before, but I think they have a great product, and I really think it's something cool that we all can use. And I know you guys want us to talk about sales data. And the reason I like coverprice.com is because there's no ulterior motive behind it. There's no mystery boxes. There's no comic book shop. They use sales data, scientific information to give you sales data of what are really the hot books, not something somebody's trying to push or anything. There's no ulterior motive. If you know anything about the Lords, is that our reputation precedes us. We try to stay true to the game because we've been in the game for a minute. So we have, like I always said, we got 80, 90 years worth of collecting experience. So I love what coverprice.com is bringing. Very sleek website. They got a team of web designers that are doing it. The mobile app, the mobile version of it works the same as the website. So basically, you just go on your phone, put in coverprice.com, it'll pull it right up. So we're going to be excited. So we're not only going to have the weekly, either a Mikey Sutton or a Black Knight report, but we're also going to be doing this. So maybe 2-3 shows a week, man. So, hey, if you guys don't like the way we look now, you're really going to get sick and tired of seeing us after this. So definitely check out our friends at CovrPrice. There's some great stuff I was talking about. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I know Justin and Otto have their own channel. So, maybe me and Zach will be able to do this. So there's 5 of us. We'll be able to divvy it up somehow, some way, somehow. But check out our friends at CovrPrice. I think it's a great website, man. Back in the day, man, websites for comic books were pretty crappy. You guys remember comicpriceguide.com?
Oh,
yeah.
That was awful, just truly awful. But now they can use sales aggregate from real data like Comic Connect, Comic Link, Heritage Auctions. And what's cool about coverprice.com is they do raw and slab data. So I personally use it. We all got accounts. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, sorry, man. I was looking around on it today too, and it's crazy how much information they have on there. Like you can fall down a damn rabbit hole just looking at one book and the trends and everything. It's wild.
I think it's a must-have for any collector. Let me just read some of the fine points on what they gave me. And just so I'll give you an idea of what they're about. I'm sorry about this, guys. This is kind of I'm awful at this, but here you go. So here's some info about CovrPrice.com. Basically, all the key points. CovrPrice is the ultimate tool for comic collectors and speculators, where they are a comic book price guide and a collection management system. So it's basically you get a price guide and a CLZ thing in one. Since a comic is only worth what somebody has paid for it, CovrPrice only aggregates real sales data from both graded and raw comics. See what everything in your collection is worth at a glance when you look at you. So when you can see what your collection is worth. Comics MV used to have something like that where you could basically see it's like your stock portfolio for comic book shops. So right now you got 15. Try it out for 14 days for free. We're working on them to where in future giveaways we can give you a lifetime membership for free. That would be awesome. Other information, they generate daily hot, key, rare, and variant lists based on real sales data. Weekly newsletter talks about major trends that they're seeing in the marketplace. So not only get the sales data, but they also get their analysis on it, and we'll be doing some of that analysis for you on a weekly basis. Here's what Zach was just talking about. They gather over 300,000 actual sales each month. That's how much they're tracking. So they have a, like I said, I work in IT, so we were able to talk a little tech talk, and they got a team of developers and engineers working. So this product is not going anywhere. It's going and growing. They're always hosting comic book giveaways and stuff. Check them out right now on Instagram. They're giving away some KRS Comics exclusives. So you see that? Synergy, baby. That's KRS Comics, Lords of Longbox, and CovrPrice.com working together, baby. But let's get right to it, boys and girls. You know what time it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
Oh, how I've missed you, Ron Burgundy. Shout out to our man Ryan, who can't, when he's doing Wirecast, we can't do that. So Ryan is sick today, and Otto is got some plumbing issues. That's all I'll just say. We had some interesting conversation about what he was kind of like a timeline of Otto's day. And let's just say he had to deal with some poopy problems, man. But all right. So our man, the Black Knight insider over has some insider information over at Marvel. Got a list of a long-term spec list for the Silver Surfer. If you didn't know, Marvel is planning a Silver Surfer solo films, and they want to do a franchise of them. He got a hold of a list that Marvel was given to their people to research these characters for the Silver Surfer franchise of films. So not necessarily these characters are going to get their own part, or excuse me, their own movie, but they're being researched to be developed for a Silver Surfer franchise of films. It could be Silver Surfer solo films, meaning more than one. You know, Marvel likes to do trilogies. What I was told also is that they're going to dig deeper into the origins of Silver Surfer. If you remember the ill-fated Rise of the Silver Surfer movie by Fox, they never introduced him, Norrin Radd, his backstory or anything like that. There's a whole backstory of Norrin Radd sacrificing himself to save his loved one, Shalabal, and Zen-La. I mean, there's a whole tragic love story and tragic thing. And that's why Silver Surfer is one of Stan Lee's favorite characters that he created. There's a rich history of it, tons of issues. And we're going to get right to it. There's some major bangers on here, but there is some minor ones as well. So let's get right to it, boys and girls. First one on the list is, dang it, I was practicing too. Hold on, I got this. I got Tenebris. That's right.
There you go.
Annihilation Silver Surfer #3 is the first appearance of Tenebris, and that is by the great Keith Geffen. Tenebris is basically maintained the black living matter that held the universe together. So he's kind of a dark character. At one point, he was imprisoned by this cosmic prison called the Kiln. I think I'm saying that right.
The Kiln.
Yeah, is
like a pottery situation.
Yeah, it's like this huge cosmic prison that they keep the most powerful, I guess, cosmic inmates, based. And this is based on, I remember Justin or Zach, we did the Annihilation one. There's some great cosmic storytelling. It's cool to see this book. Look at that dope cover right there.
Yeah, it's a really modern book too, in terms of a lot of these other first appearances.
Well, I would say the last decade, they really went cosmic, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Introducing all these characters. So I'd be surprised that there's any sales data on this. What do you got, Justin?
Not much, but I mean, they did have a 9.8 last sold $80 in April of 2019. So that's really all there is. No 9.6s, but a year ago, someone decided to pick this up in a 9.8. So hopefully, future use.
Look at that 9.8. When you slab that, that looks like a hard book to slab, but it looks pretty. Dig the
awesome.
silver cover. Yeah. Next up on the list for the long-term spec list, we have the Elders of the Universe. There could have been a lot of ways we could have went with this, but I'm going to go, which is the true first appearance when they first mentioned them. But there's, as Manimal will go over, in recent times, there's been literally thousands of them, but the original Elders are a little bit different. What do you got on this, Zach?
So the Elders of the Universe, we've seen a lot of them in both the MCU and honestly play big roles in a lot of the classic Marvel storylines. Some of the main ones we see a lot are the Grandmaster, the Collector, even the Gardener for some.
Stranger, the In-Betweener,
Voyager, In-Betweener. Yeah, so the Stranger. You get a lot of these guys. There's like Steve or like Tim said, there's about 1,000 of them, but we've really only been introduced to, I don't know, something like 30 maybe.
Yeah.
You can't really break down their whole history, but they are all kind of like the last living beings of their own universe. So after the Big Bang, these were all individuals who survived, the last of their species, and they became the Elders. Each one of them kind of has their own little goal and role that they assign to. Like, for example, the Runner just runs around the universe, which is really weird. But
the Gardener, who just gardens, he uses Infinity Stone just to garden.
So a lot of them have had, all the big cosmic storylines. You're going to see these characters, at least a couple of them will pop up. They all had the Infinity Gems at one point. Yeah, man, you see them a lot recently in the modern stories as well. And, another big one, Ego, the Living Planet. That's kind of one that gets forgotten about as well. So we've seen a lot of them already in the MCU. What have we've seen Ego, we've seen the Collector
and the Grandmaster, but they're not really powerful per se, right? I mean, they're just kind of, So I think they're going to redo that now since, and do it. But what's interesting is just recently is when they kind of said there's thousands, because it basically said, the last surviving person. So if you and your buddy were the last two people on your planet, if you killed them, boom, you become an Elder. So think about that. Just kill your wife off and you. There you go. I know there's sales data on this, Justin. I bet you this book has got some pricing on it.
Oh, of course. Old school Avengers. Can't beat that. So they actually had 2 sales last year in May. 9.6 went for a little over $1,800, and a 9.0 went for way less than that at $300. And as we know, the lower the grade, the cheaper it is. So this book can definitely be found raw, in the $50 to $100 range. But if you guys are looking for high grade, I definitely would say go for raw and then end up cracking it, pressing it, or just press it and slab it up, because that's the best way to look at it.
Well, I do believe it's that pricey also because it's the first appearance of the Collector, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that, but I think that's why this book is so expensive. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. Avengers number 28. Yep, it's the first appearance of the Collector. So I mean, and then in there, they introduced the Elders of the Universe. So I would say just go out and collect them all. At one point in my collecting career, I was going out and I was kind of picking up every Elder of the Universe because they're kind of spread out all over the place. So it's kind of cool. That's the one thing Marvel does really well with their cosmic side. They really tell the mythos well with all the different. On the DC side, you have the Guardians of Oa and you have the Lanterns, but they don't really build on it like Galactus and Living Tribunal, the One Above All, Lord, Master Order and Chaos and all that good stuff. But they're getting there. They're getting there. Next up, hopefully I won't mispronunciate this. This is Silver Surfer number 68, the first appearance of Khan, I think. It's story by Ron Mars, covered by the great Ron Lim. This is part of the great Ron Lim run in Silver Surfer. This is issue number 68. There's not much known to this guy at all. Basically, he's known as Khan the Explorer. He was a villain, creator of the Wolf Pack, and he's known for having that powerful suit that he's wearing there. So just kind of there's a lot of these weird issues. I would say I have most of this Silver Surfer run. Go out and get them all because they're very, very cosmic in nature. See, we got our girl Frankie Ray right there in the cover. What sales data we got on this, Justin?
Well, of course, it's a modern book, so and it's not something that you usually find. I'd say go and look for it in dollar bins, but last sold 9.8, $22 in December of last year. So that is the only sales data on
Why
this
did they
book.
even slab it? They were like, it was probably one of those people who's like, look at this super clean book. I'm just going to grade it and see. I mean, it costs more to grade it and ship it than somebody bought it for. But hey, man, you never know. They may be sitting pretty now that they have a 9.8 on this.
Absolutely.
Next up on this list
$100
is one of my favorite comics of all time. And God damn it, I don't get to talk about it, but Manimal does. You better do it justice.
Okay, so we've got, and this is a character like Tim said earlier, we didn't get a lot of history on previous cinematic incarnations of Silver Surfer, but if you're going to talk about his past, you have to talk about Shalal Bal, which is his love interest. It's the girl who he sacrificed everything for. He made a deal with Galactus to become his herald to protect her and Zen-La. And of course, just like in every character, she has popped back up throughout history, coming back into his realm. She's even been like killed, cloned, revived. She has powers of her own at one point. He actually like kind of gets destroys all of Zen-La. Silver Surfer does, making a deal with the Power Cosmic and whatnot. And so yeah, they're kind of not on best of terms at the moment. I'm not entirely sure what her last appearance was, to be honest with you, but yeah, so she'll show up. She's going to be the love interest of him. It's going to ground him as a character and really show his human nature, if you will, even though he's not human.
And fun fact, there is a song called Shalabal done by Joe Satriani. It's called Back to Shalabal. If you don't know, Joe Satriani did a album cover that featured the Silver Surfer on it. He did a follow-up album that had a song called the Back to Shalabal. So that's very, if you're into that kind of weird, I actually bought that album just because of the Silver Surfer. I don't even really care about Joe Satriani's music, but there's a song called Back to Shalabal. So that's pretty cool, I think. I know. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's pop culture from the 60s and 70s, and people dug it. And I guarantee you, this may be a spec book, but just sometimes the pricing, you guys, it's ridiculous. Well, we want to show you where it's trending. And with CovrPrice.com, we're going to be doing that soon because this book has blown up.
Yeah, we're just going to show you the 9.8 last sold.
Lord have mercy.
September 2016, $33,000, guys. We know there's nothing going out there. You're not out there buying this book, but just some more recent sales, and this is probably from the Black Knight and his little secret cabal of collectors. But there are two recent sales: a 9.4 for $4,500 in January, and even last month in February, an 8.5 went for $1,700. This is definitely a key book, guys, to have in any grade. I'd say go for at least 6 or up, because this is definitely an investment type of book right here.
Yeah, I have a 7.5 or something like that, but it's a great book to have.
It's kind of surprising cover. It's kind of surprising too, because it's obviously not his first appearance, and I mean, it's a great book, but a lot of times you get these great characters who have their own first solo title, but do any of them really hit the numbers of 33,000? I mean, geez, man. No,
I just think it's an iconic cover.
Yeah,
I mean, FF48 is right up there because FF48 doesn't have him on the cover. It's one of those first appearances where he's not on the cover. Shout out to CT Cuckoo, who has a $5 super chat. Any Warlock news? Unfortunately, no. My guess and what I've been told is they're waiting on James Gunn. Once he starts doing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that's James Gunn's thing to use. Right now, they just wrapped on Suicide Squad. So appreciate the super chat. Trust me, CT, I am definitely waiting on Warlock news as well because I am sitting on all of them. I got there's like 6 first appearances. I got them all. Him, the Cocoon, the Warlock, Adam Warlock, Carlos Warlock, Bob Warlock, all of them, man. Well, I'm waiting for them all to pop. Shout out to my man, Very Gary Comics in the house. You are going to love this list, by the way, because I know Very Gary is sitting on a comic that we have on the list. And I think we all know what Very Gary is talking, what we're talking about. But next up on the list, this is pretty cool, man. I've never seen this book. And I am a huge Silver Surfer fan. Silver Surfer number 111, the first appearance of Black Body or the Black Bodies. A Black Body is a tool used for collecting souls by the Unilord. And this is the rare Silver Surfer comic done by George Perez, which is doubly dope. What kind of sales data we got on this, Justin?
Well, it's pretty crazy. A 9.8 last sold in 2014 for $35, but a more recent sale, which is funny, and again, cheaper. It's more expensive to actually grade the book and buy it. 9.8, $15 in January of this year. So that is losing money. But you know what? That person who bought it is definitely going to be in it for the long haul.
Check out the Marvel emblem or logo up there in the left corner.
Marvel Universe.
Kind of cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it is. It's I was looking at that and it says Marvel Universe. That's why I have never seen this before. This is back in the 90s of Marvel kookiness of all comic book kookiness, to be honest with you, but still cool nonetheless, man. Amazing Murphinator in the house. $2 super chat. Tom Brady to the 49ers. Are you kidding me?
I'll go for it. We'll just beat him again. No worries.
Is that true?
No, it's not true.
I was going to say, because that would be just flip the whole world backwards, because they already got Garoppolo, who was the backup. That's I can do a whole episode on Tom Brady, and he should just stay in New England. He's too old to go anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he should just stay there. Just don't go anywhere else. Just stay your time there. But, you know, maybe people say he wants to come to LA because that's the second part of his life, kind of like what LeBron did. But we'll see, man. You know, we could do a whole episode on sports. We're big sports nuts here, not like other people. But anyway, next up on the list is, I'll let you say this name.
So this is usually, I feel like I'm pretty good at pronouncing things, but I don't know about this guy.
Geeter.
So this is just, it's kind of like a thug character. The interesting thing I saw about this guy was he's got a lot of connection with Nebula. He's kind of just a warrior, space pirate. He's ran around with Nebula a little bit. There was a little body swap stuff where...
Yeah, Nebula was his love interest at one point, right?
Right, yeah. They thought that he killed Thanos, but it was actually this guy who was like made to look like Thanos. He was brought back. He's a cyborg. You know, we're talking in terms of like a cinematic appearance. This is just kind of like a henchman type character. But, you know, it's always kind of fun to pick up these little issues. And the cover on this is one of the best, most iconic covers, in my opinion, of that Silver Surfer run.
Oh, this is, I mean, basically Silver Surfer 34 up to like 55, 60 is Ron Lim and Jim Starlin just kicking ass. We're talking Silver Surfer, the Gauntlet, Drax when he was still kind of dumb before he got smart, which was in the Annihilation. Remember we did the Annihilation review? That's when he actually could speak normally. He wasn't like this kind of dumb kind of character. And let me look at the sales data. I bet you there's some sales data on this.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some decent sales data, and I think it's more so the cover. I think the cover sells this book. But the last sold 9.6 was $31 in November, and a more recent sale of $98 in January of this year. But yeah, definitely with the legendary team doing these books, and like you said, from issues 34 on, I'm sure someone wanted to get the complete set in a 9.8 because that'd be an awesome run to have.
All right, and next up on this list is one that's been rumored for a while, rumored incorrectly at that. So, I mean, they were saying he was going to be in the Fantastic Four movie. He was going to be the first Herald of Galactus. Well, for those who bought it way back when, good for you, because next on the list, Silver Surfer number 81, the first appearance of Tyrant, created by the great Jim Starlin and Ron Lim. Have you seen, there's quite a few issues that were pulling from the Starlin and Lim run of Silver Surfer, just Silver Surfer in general. I'm trying to remember where this came from. One of the scoopers came out and said he was going to be in the next Avengers movie or the next Fantastic Four movie. Well, we're finding that he's going to be in the part of the Silver Surfer films. Put it this way, they don't want to, in the Fantastic Four film, it's a Fantastic Four film. The Silver Surfer is going to be a guest of that. These are stories that are made specifically for the Silver Surfer. So basically, Galactus created this kind of powerful machine robot and ended up being Tyrant, and then Tyrant turned on him, and Tyrant betrayed Galactus, and then kind of Galactus teamed up to defeat him. And then there were some other stories telling about how he had unleashed energies according to Thanos and turned on him. So basically, he's a chaotic, evil character, whereas we try to tell you that Galactus is not really a baddie per se. He is a kind of a force of nature. He has to be there to balance things out in the universe. But, you know, Tyrant is just a straight up chaotic, evil character. And I bet you there's sales data on this from the times, the first time the false rumors about this were passing around.
Yeah, I remember this guy getting spec'd on way early last year in 2019. But the 9.6 sold in January for $31, and the last 9.8 sold for $82 in January. So people definitely have been slapping this book up, for all those rumors back then. So now if you bought it, you got a good hold.
Yeah. I mean, they were just hoping Tyrant was going to be the first Herald of Galactus, and it just didn't seem to make any sense since he was such a smaller character as opposed to Frankie Ray Nova or Firewalker or any of these major characters. But next up on the list,
we got Morg the Executioner. So a Herald of Galactus. So Morg the Executioner is kind of like the bastard stepchild of all the Heralds of Galactus. He's constantly treated pretty crappy, and no one really likes him very much. In fact, at one point, Surfer rallied the troops of the ex-Galactus or Heralds, Firelord, Airwalker, and they all went and beat the shit out of this guy. So
damn, poor Morg.
But he just also kind of looks like he was charred to a crisp. He carries around an axe. Like he just looks like a whack Terex to me. So
yeah. I was gonna say it looks kind of cool with his Kirby crackle on his axe. So Silver Surfer number 69. If you notice, 68 is the first appearance of Khan, and the issue right after that. So if you can find a little run, you may be able to get 2 spec books, and buying a little run. What do you got on this, Justin?
Some actual sales data. I'm actually completely shocked. A 9.6 sold for $30 in March of last year, but a more recent sale, a 9.8 in January of this year. So clearly someone is looking for these books, buying them up, hoping that they can hold on to them for investment purposes. So if you guys see this book, and what do we always say? Under $100 and a 9.8, just buy it. And that's what this person did.
I have all of these, but I can't speak on the condition of them. I collected these since when they first hit the shelf. I bought them. So I've been a huge Silver Surfer fan. So I never ever flipped them or sold them. Just like the Spawn 1 through 50 I have are all directly off of the shelf. I should go check because everybody's tripping on Spawn newsstand issues now, which is interesting. So next up on the list is somebody that Zach just alluded to. Boom, Silver Surfer number 211. Don't worry about that number 69. It's issue 211. Trust me on this. I have it. First appearance of Terax the Tamer, written by Marv Wolfman and the great John Byrne, published in 1979. Terax, the baddest herald with male pattern balding in the universe. He at one point took off half the Baxter building with the swing of his mighty axe when he turned against Galactus. There's that storyline in FF 243, 244 when Terax came to Earth, tricked Galactus, and then Galactus, they defeated Terax, but then what happened was Galactus said, I'm out of energy. I need to eat your planet. And that's the storyline of FF 244 or 242 to 244, where the FF and the Avengers fight Galactus and eventually free him, which leads to the trial of Galactus or Reed Richards, because basically the Galactic universe put Reed Richards on trial because they said you should have killed Galactus when you had a chance, but that's not on this one. This is later on. There's about 30 issues later, but I remember I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, so I remember reading this when I was a kid, like Terax, and I thought he was badass. He was. They showed him. He's kind of like made out of like rock and stone almost, but they showed him when he was I think his name is Tyros, and then when Galactus imbued him with power cosmic to become his herald, he changed his name to Terax the Tamer because that sounds a lot more badass than Tyros. But what kind of sales data we're looking at this, Justin?
It's actually a really good book. I think this is something that
holy cow,
we can actually find, he can be like a Ronin type of character. So this is definitely a good book to pick up, guys. The last 9.6 sold for $297 last month. There was actually some good sales data. So there was a 90-day GPA. So there was a few sales. So you're at 90-day GPA at 244. And the last sold in November of last year for $721 and a nice 9.8. So this is definitely a book that I would
hard to find in 982 because of the black cover. I've yet to come across a really nice one. Dollar Bin Fodder said there's a Mark Jewelers insert variant for $211. There you go. If you find it, look for those Mark Jewelers insert. Very Gary, you paying attention? Very Gary, are you in the house? If you're paying attention,
I'm really excited that this was my character to talk about because I also got me a little Fantastic Four annual number 6 as well.
Oh, bam!
So this is a character that, in terms of the Fantastic Four, I think is a great character, and Silver Surfer, and any kind of cosmic is Annihilus. First started off in Fantastic Four Annual number 6. Also, side note, first appearance and birth of Franklin Richards in that. So it's kind of a little bit of a double spec book there. Don't let that picture throw you off. That's kind of a lame picture of Annihilus. He actually ends up becoming cooler. And he kind of really hit his stride around Annihilation, in my opinion. So Annihilation changed him into this just ultimate baddie where he tore through the universe. He created, like, he had this hive mind thing going on with all of his little queens and his prosties that he had going on, and tore through. He took over Galactus, was using that whack-ass Morg the Executioner as a battery to fuel his Annihilation wave, and just really kind of tore up the cosmic universe that has really set the stage, honestly, for Marvel Cosmic moving forward. I mean, it was the addition of the Guardians of the Galaxy after post-Annihilation. So,
Nova was a big part of that. Quasar was a big part of that. Mantis,
destruction of Nova Corps, everything had to do with the Annihilation wave.
So when we did our long-term spec list, meaning the next Endgame level event coming to the MCU, Secret Wars was going to be that next Endgame level event. But in between that, we're talking 10 years from now, maybe the next Secret Wars. In between that was going to be some sort of Annihilation Wave story. So they won't go full on, big story, but Secret Wars is the next Endgame. Think of this as a horrible example of possibly the Age of Ultron in the middle. Although, but on a bigger cosmic scale, like, it wouldn't necessarily come to Earth. It may stay in space. But I mean, we've seen this coming, right? I mean, Gary's seen it coming, and I bet you Gary is very responsible for what's coming up next.
He has 21 of them.
21 copies, Gary. That is insane. I mean, again, no one's going there buying a 9.8, but we always want to show you what the highest and last sold was. So a 9.8 last sold November of last year for $16,000 is unbelievable.
That's
tough. Then you drop, a few grades off of that. So a 9.2 sold for $1,450 this year in January. And an 8.5, which I think is more reasonable for some people, for $425 last month in February. So definitely this is a great book to get. Hard book to find because of the square bound book and, because of its thickness. So this is definitely a long-term spec. And I'm sure Gary is just waiting for the news to drop for this character.
Bro, mine is barely like a 5 or a 6. That's how I should have snatched more up, but I was just like, it's too late now. And you can tell I made a 9. I'm pretty impressed with whoever got a 9.8 because that book is hard as hell.
I got a 7.5 is what I got.
Yeah, I mean those double bound books like Giant Size X-Men 1 and Square Bound, Giant Size X-Men 1, this one, all those, man, they're hard to get in a high grade, and that's why they're valued so much. I mean, we'll get into that, on our collector series and why certain books are valued more when they're graded at a 9.8 as opposed to like a 7.0. But if you've been paying attention, there's one glaring omission on this list, and we might as well talk about it. Fantastic Four number 49, the first full and cover appearance of Galactus the Devourer. Classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. He did a cameo in FF48, and I don't want to debate it because the market has dictated this is the first full appearance of Galactus. He's right there on the cover. On FF48, he appears like in the last page or panel, something like that. But basically, this is the classic Galactus is coming storyline from FF 48 to 50, the trilogy, you want to say, the Silver Surfer Galactus trilogy. 50 is starting to get up there now. 48 priced everybody out. I got a hold of 49 last year, and now that thing is really getting priced out. But let's just take a look at it, Justin.
Crazy sales data, guys.
Oh shit, son!
$47,000 plus a 9.8. That was 4 years ago. I'm sure if there was a 9.8 now, that would be well over $60,000. 9.6 sold for $13,000 in August 2018.
Lord have mercy.
But a more recent sale, and even this is still high. Even to find the book in a 9.0 sold for $2,638 in February. Good luck trying to even find this book in mid to high grade. I mean, I've seen them all over the place, and people are asking crazy prices. But this is obviously, again, a nice long-term hold book.
Hard to find in 982 because of the dark cover on the edges. I have a 7.075. I'm just happy because my FF 48 and 49 and Silver Surfer 1 are all like in the same price grade range, or like 7.0, 7.5. So I'm like, I'm glad one of them like isn't really high or really low. So then when you're looking at them all together, what does Otto call that? He calls it
linear.
Linear collecting, guys. Linear collecting. If you're playing at home, take a shot. So we saw this coming way back when. It was inevitable that it were coming. If you don't have one, you have nobody to blame but yourself because it was inevitable. But now we're going to find out a little bit more about what they're planning. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. The only cool thing about that film was probably the Silver Surfer. But it failed to really grasp the tragic nature of the character of Silver Surfer. There's a whole point of his history where he's stranded on Earth. He literally cannot leave Earth because Galactus imprisoned him there. And then he could finally leave Earth. And by that time he did, Shalabow wanted nothing to do with him. And so it's this whole tragic story of the Silver Surfer. He's also one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. Until recently, they kind of portrayed that there's a darker version of him. But in the past, he's been this very kind of cerebral, almost Zen-like character, right? Where he's very spiritual and he kind of finds himself, because imagine sacrificing yourself to save your planet and the woman you love, and then you have to go find worlds for Galactus to eat. But he vowed that made a vow to himself he would find worlds that weren't populated for Galactus to devour. Because Galactus doesn't eat people. He devours the planet's life essence, in essence. I guess, does that make sense, right?
Yeah, so, kills it from the inside out.
Yeah, so Silver Surfer said, you know what, I'm going to take it upon myself to try to save as many people as I can. Galactus has to be, he's a being that has to be there. If you follow all the mythos, the Living Tribunal and everything, they all say Galactus has to be there. He is the sole being that's left over from the Big Bang. In other words, he was part of the old universe and survived the Big Bang. He is the only one in existence, I do believe. Eternity, all those other characters came about part of the Big Bang. Galactus, or what is his name? Gaia or something like that. Galan. Yeah, Galan. What would I say? Galan of Ga or some shit he is the sole living character from prior to the Big Bang that created the Marvel 616. So this is really kind of cool. I mean, you can't just do this in one Silver Surfer film, right? You can't do it correctly in just a Fantastic Four film. The character is rich in history. I just wish Stan Lee was still alive to see this happen, because you Google it. It's one of his most favorite characters, maybe his most favorite character outside of Spider-Man, right? Because when he created this character, it was one of the books in the 70s where he was still back then he was editor-in-chief, but he said, I want to write this, just like how he did She-Hulk. So too bad Stan the Man Lee isn't alive to see She-Hulk and Silver Surfer finally make it onto the screen by Feige, man. That's pretty incredible. I mean, we kind of knew it was coming once Marvel announced they were going to do the Fantastic Four. You can't do the Fantastic Four without the Silver Surfer and all that good stuff. Frankie Ray we talked about, so she wasn't on this list because we've already talked about her ad nauseum. They're going to do the Frankie Ray Johnny Storm love story, and then she's going to sacrifice herself, similar to what Silver Surfer did. She sacrificed herself to become the herald to Galactus to save Earth, but didn't really need it. But then she broke Johnny Storm's heart. So there's a little path there. Shalabow and Norrin Radd. You got Johnny Storm and Frankie Ray. So
it's something we always kind of talk about too, is how the modern comics are really reflecting and kind of giving you a heads up on what's coming out cinematically. And Silver Surfer, Galactus have been very prominent lately in the runs, including Donny Cates really bringing together a lot of Silver Surfer stuff lately.
Yeah, shout out to Donny Cates. Sorry, ran out of time. Next time we'll have you back. We'll have you on the show. He's going to come on, but we'll have him on next week. So sorry about that. You and Matt Damon. Sorry, man. We'll try to get you guys on next time. Any last words, Manimal?
No, it was a fun little topic. Silver Surfer definitely better than the Western long-term spec we did last.
Hey, man, don't sleep on it. Somebody just bought all 5 issues of Six Guns. I saw it on the Lord Spec page.
Hey, I picked up that hold on.
Caleb Hammer, right?
Caleb Hammer book. Yeah.
There you go. See, if you could find, that's why these lists make collecting fun, because for every Galactus and Silver Surfer #1, there's Silver Surfer 68 and 69 with Khan and Gorg and Morg. So, because I tell you what, collectors love to speculate on little appearances here and there. And the key on the timing is to flip them at the right time.
And also, just to show that we're playing the game as well, I picked up 3 first appearances of Amethyst.
There you go.
Gymnast.
That's right. All right. Shout out to our man Mikey Sutton, who scooped this, that DC's working on an Amethyst movie, and you should be paying attention to tea leaves, because they just came out with Amethyst issue #1. What, last week? Was that?
Yeah. think it's this upcoming week.
No, it was last week.
It was? Okay.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Gem World one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get into this more when we have our CovrPrice.com top 10 lists of sales and of new comics to look out for. What also dropped today was Strange Academy #1. I know we were talking about this like crazy in the private chat. I was like, yo, I need to get this variant. There's a J. Scott Campbell variant, but that other one I could not find, man. I think it's a store variant. I don't know who the artist is. Are they new, Justin? Momoko?
Oh, Peach Momoko. Yeah, she's hot on the
yeah. Peach,
it's a girl.
Gotta be the name of Peach Momoko.
She's got a real quiet buzz over the past I'd say 6 to 8 months. I met her in New York Comic Con, had her sign a book or two. So
yeah, so she has a magic cover for Strange Academy #1, and there's some first appearances in that. So make sure you snatch that up. So basically, it's a Marvel Universe Hogwarts is the comic. So it's Doctor Strange and a bunch of other sorcerers teaching young sorcerers. So I could definitely see them plucking stories from that in the future. Marvel saying, "Hey, Harry Potter and Universal, that's pretty nice stories you got. Let's see what we can do with young magicians and sorcerers." So, all right. Any last words, Justin? Hey, why don't you, since we have a few minutes, talk about the swap meet and everything that happened? Well, how was it turn on? How did things go? It looked fun.
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody who's in the live chat that did show up. I know I saw Matt Forge is in there. I did see Very Gary. So we had about 15 vendors. It was really good. Just basically they set up. A lot of people were swapping. A lot of people were just buying, selling in between each other. I did have a good turnout just from other people just coming through because I was promoting it all over, New Jersey. I was going to shops, dropping off flyers. I was going to shows, dropping off flyers as well. But it was a really good turnout. I mean, Gary will tell you probably on one of his videos, people were bringing everything. I mean, I had one guy who was just a non-sports card collector. I had statues, slabs,
Geeky Swag Shop had a lot of stuff there, yeah.
Yeah, Geeky Swag Shop.
Shout out to the NY Warriors were representing there too.
Yep. If you check our channel, we had 2 shows. We did one live show there and then a live show after down here. But yep, 2 of the members NY Warriors came out. A ton of people from the YouTube and IG community, comics and culture.
Awesome.
So many guys. It was an absolute great time. Everybody loved it. Everybody made some money. Everybody bought a lot of stuff, and that's always good. And especially being at the end of February, my biggest fear was rain or snow. But it turned out a great day. Definitely the next comic swap will be in Connecticut sometime later in the year, but we definitely will bring it back here to New Jersey. So
cool.
Definitely you got to do it now in Cali, man. Definitely.
Well, I had a lot of people asking me. So Sith Lord Liassi, Dollar Bin Fodder saying they should do a Lord's 3 Men in the Basement comic swap in Cali. And I know enough people. I think we can get it done. I just need to find a venue, man. I've talked to my man, the Big To Do at Comic Tunes and Toys, and I think he'd be willing to do it too. There's a lot of local vendors and stuff. I just need to find a venue, man.
That was the hardest thing for me, man. That was absolute. I didn't know where to go. I was thinking, comic shops that are close. We've done it the past 2 ones. We had it at obviously the first one was at Otto's restaurant that he works at, and this is just lucked out. It was a private hall downstairs. Underneath a bar that I knew, and it was just perfect. It was that's the best thing. It was private just to us. People could come through. So
yeah, it's hard to do it at a comic shop because to tell people, hey, can we do it here? And they want to sell comics. They don't want people to swap comics while they're there. But what are your thoughts on CGC canceling? To ask our friend Daniel Ibarra. I think it's pretty messed up. I think people are blowing this out of control, but it's too late now. It's the tide is it's the dominoes have knocked over. Jim Lee's not showing up. Scotty Young, my boy Dustin Wynn, Dark Horse Comics, CGC. Man,
you think maybe CGC was also like, yo, it's probably good if we cancel after our whole debacle posting grading on Instagram.
That was I don't care if you agree or disagree with it. It was just
that was not a good idea, dude.
It was a bad marketing idea.
Horrible.
I mean, to know that a lot of collectors would go off on it. Especially, you shouldn't have done it with a Superman 1 book. First, 1, they were showing off, and then 2, you did it with a book that's 1930s that could have brittle pages. So if you're flipping those pages, they could crack in half. I don't know if there was some prep before they did the video, but they try to follow up by that saying you don't use. They even posted something from like the Smithsonian, don't handle things with gloves because you can feel the tactical nature of the paper. So which I know plenty of people who use gloves, and I think they should have did it with a book not as rare and old as valuable. So it was kind of them showing off, but they probably should have done it with just a modern book and flipped through it as opposed to Superman. Was it a Superman 1 or Action number 1?
It was Superman 1.
Yeah, Superman 1 from Jesus Christ. That's a super old book. And it just went viral with collectors. And then they try to follow up by saying stuff like this, that, and the other. But one, if you agree or disagree with it, is beside the point to me. It's the person who had no idea how social media was going to react to it. You should know social media hates everybody and everything.
The thing is, you can pretty much go to any collector out there who has had some kind of bad experience with CGC in terms of they sent a book, it didn't come back what they thought, whether they know what they're doing or not. But everyone has been kind of, in their opinion, screwed over by CGC. And so then to show something like that, it's just, people are going to be upset about it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Roger Levesque was probably thinking, "You bastards!" That's why I was getting all
that was
my
his
shit
book.
grade. Yeah, it's like, oh man, like if that was your book, would you just be like, "Holy cow"? Man, Sith Lord is gonna talk to the American Legion Hall and see what we could do. All right, man, we need some time to plan this though to make sure we're on the right schedules and everything else. But I can get enough. I can get enough people to show up and some surprise vendors and stuff. I have enough books to show up, and I think a lot of people in SoCal. We could do this for a Lord's comic swap. If we give it enough time, maybe Zach and the 3 men and Dark Side Jedi can come on out to Cali. The weather's always nice here, so make an excuse. Drop the family off at Disneyland, and you just hang out and do this all day.
Rudy Sanchez brought up Hell Arisen 3 in our private chat. Justin and I and the other lords and stuff have been following a 9.8 signed by James Tynion. Sold for what was it, Justin? 5.6.
That was a 9.9.
5. No. The 9.8 that we had, it was sold for $541.
The 9.9 sold for $2,000, right?
Yeah.
And this was one of the ones that was taken to C2E2, the on-site grading. I mean, it was listed. When did we see that? On Saturday?
Yeah, we were talking about it. I mean, we were talking about it on the 3 Men show that you're going to see a ton of Batman 89s and Hell Arisens on eBay. And that's immediately what happened. There's tons of them there. By the way,
we just found out that Punchline is actually Harley Quinn. I'm just kidding.
So true first appearance is.
Oh yeah. So better go. I mean, I think one of you guys said that it's probably going to be somebody else, but I think at this point is they've gone too far into marketing that they're really going to push this character. So if they do pull the rug, they will piss off a ton of people. But pretty crazy that they moved up Artgerm from 94 to 92 and then 90 sold out today. Who was that first appearance of, Justin?
The designer?
Who the hell is the designer?
Well, if anybody read it, he gets shot and killed. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, by the way, if you guys paid too much for issue number 90, the designer's first and last appearance.
Well, he kind of showed up in 89. There was a full page spread. But I guess considered cameo as well. So he's present in the modern, but you saw like in a flashback
What's the first cover appearance where she's like barely in the background of Punchline?
92. That'll be 92.
Yeah,
and it's variant B. I think it's variant B or cover.
That's going to be the Artgerm variant anyway. So why not get the full figure of her as opposed to a little itty bit? Has she spoken yet besides the cameo?
No.
No, I think only in 89.
Yeah.
So is it a true first appearance that she doesn't speak? Shout out to Two Brothers Comics. Thanks for always dropping the best early info. Yeah, go sub up Two Brothers Comics. Go check out. I think they're doing a 500 subs giveaway. So shout out to Two Brothers Comics. They just hit 500 subs. Congratulations. It's a grind. Just keep on grinding. You'll get there, fellas. So be curious to see where all this stuff lands. And as soon as I get, I'm going to actually probably work at CovrPrice.com to get some real sales data on this, because this is pretty crazy about this sales data. I was like, the last time something went this ridiculous was Red Goblin, and it didn't even get that high. But remember, Red Goblin was teased that they were coming, and that's when things were selling out. But I think now the internet and social medias, online retailers are so far out that they can see these things coming. I mean, when I called my LCS, they were sold out 2 weeks out forward, and some places under ordered these, so they were sold out immediately. But poo-poo to anybody who was selling them from over cover price, man. Like I said, if they're go ahead.
Sorry, check out this comment. So Dollar Bin Fodder and Justice for Comics are saying that there's a theory out there that Punchline is actually a trans character, and that the identified male character's first appearance is actually going to be in the 30s of Batman Tom King. Thunderhouse says number 38. So damn, talk about a total switch. When you go back,
now I'm just confused,
like,
man.
Actual first appearance is 38.
Well,
good thing I got that book.
What did the giant size 100-page issue is going to be your origin. So that's going to tell us a lot.
No,
yeah,
the Joker anniversary. Yeah.
So the Joker 100-page anniversary issue for you guys who are specking this hard is the origin of Punchline, and that's going to tell us a lot where these books go. We're going to find out their actual real name, because I don't think they've mentioned her real name and her origin. To be curious to see if I really hope they don't use an existing character that just got kind of a makeover to be Punchline. If DC really wants this character to grow, making an original character, original origin, don't pull the rug on collectors, because right now you're already skating on thin ice with everything that's going on with 5G and everything. This would give fans some good service, some good things to go out and hunt and keep the hobby strong if they make it as an original character and keep going. So let's hope they stick the landing, as I say. But who knows what's planned? Because now everybody's going to go look at Batman 38. I was like, I'm going to go look at the future sales data on Batman 38. But hey, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for the live, for the super chat. Shout out to everybody that was able to join us. Shout out to Darkside Jedi and Otto, who couldn't make it, but we'll be back next Wednesday and maybe another day when we do our top 10 list. We're going to start doing that weekly to give you guys real sales data, so to help you be a more informed collector. Until next time, boys and girls, keep digging in those long boxes. Peace out.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.